In this video, I'm going to explain to you guys how I keep track of all the stock and inventory in my perfume brand, how I record the manufacturers, and how I go and use all of that information to cost out the final perfumes. And that's really important because it obviously allows you to work out how much to actually charge for your products. So I've just finished a project to redesign the packaging for my perfumes in my brand. So that's great because those are finally back in stock on my store, which they were out of stock for a few months. If you're interested in those, then check it out in the link in the description. But with all that new packaging comes a new set of costings. Now, back when I started my brand, I used to do all of the costings for my perfumes basically on an Excel spreadsheet. I would record the costs of the materials going into it. And this kind of method is fine, especially if you're doing things at a very small scale. But what I found was as my business expanded to hundreds of different stock keeping units, so that just means a different, say, item, like a component or something that you stock in the business, that method became extremely unwieldy. And because it was such a hassle to go and do it, I basically pushed it back and didn't do it, which was a massive headache when it came to my end of year annual accounts, because if you're running a company, you probably know that at the end of the year, you have to submit a set of annual accounts. And to do those properly, you need to record the value of your inventory and how much you purchased and how much you sold. So in order to keep track of the value of your inventory and how much you sold, you actually need to understand the worth or the value of each product inside of your inventory. So like I say, you can do that manually, but I found it was very frustrating. So this year I've moved to a brand new software in order to alleviate some of that pain. And that software has actually been working really, really well for me. So in this video, I wanted to share that with you guys because I felt like it was a really good find. And one of those things almost that's kind of too good not to share because it might help some of you guys in running your own business. So that software is called Craftybase, and I've now migrated my whole business to run on that software. So in this video, I'm going to walk you guys through how you can go and use that software and how it works if you want to try to use it for your own brand. And what it essentially allows you to do is record the costs of all the things that you buy in, how much of each thing you have, and then put them together to make your final products, in my case, my perfumes. And then it will tell you, it will keep track of how many of those you have in stock, how much they're worth, essentially by adding up the value of the things that went into them. And then you can also connect your Shopify or I believe some other types of online store, though Shopify is the one I use, which means as you make a sale, then it can automatically subtract that back from your inventory and it will show you in the dashboard all of the value of what you've got on hand and the sales you've made and things like that. So I've got my laptop here and let's jump in and I'll explain to you guys how it works. Right, so here we are on the Craftybase website and I'll put a link in the description so you can have a look yourself. And for this video, I'm just going to start a new account on a trial just to demonstrate how you set everything up. So there's some different plans they have and I've got this indie one here, but the one that I would say is the one that you'd probably want to get is the studio plan if you're starting out. And that's because it has this feature here called the component assemblies. And this is important because it essentially allows you to make intermediate products, which is something that we're going to be doing. And the reason for that is because when we make our perfume, we first make a batch of perfume into the kind of liquid, and then we go and fill that up into bottles. And then we may later on even go and bundle those up into bundles together. So there's different kind of stages of production. So I find these component assemblies really helpful. So we'll see that in a second. So I'm just going to make a trial account. So we'll just call it test. So when you set up your account, the most important thing to select is your currency. And the reason for that is you can't actually change this easily once you've created your account. So I'm here in the United Kingdom, so I'll be using British pounds, but if you're anywhere else in the world, then just select your own currency and you can set your country and time zone and inventory start date. Now, if you have a business and you've already been doing it for a while and you want to backdate some of your inventory, for example, you want to do it to the start of your accounting year, you can set your inventory start date to that. But a lot of people would just be starting to record their inventory, from the present and then use the software going forward. So for the sake of this, we'll just say it goes from today. Then you can configure integration. So if you have something like an Etsy or a Shopify or Wix or something, a website where you sell your stuff, it can actually import all of the purchases people make, and then it can go and actually take those out of your inventory figures. And it can also, which is quite nice, show you how much everything costs and how much you sold it for, and therefore work out the profit. So then if you want to, you can add some information about your business, but you don't need to do that, and some goals. So when you open up the software, this is what it looks like. You've kind of got a dashboard, and at the moment it doesn't really show all too much. So in the software, the kind of everything that's something you buy in is counted as a material. So if you go to this materials page, you'll have a list of all of your materials. We don't have any yet. We're going to make those. And then you make purchases, which is where you buy those in, and then it assigns the cost and the amounts to all of your materials. You can then make those into components if you want to. So this would be like, let's say you made something as an intermediate stage. So in this case for us, it's going to be our perfume liquid, because we're going to firstly make our perfume liquid, and then later on we're going to make our perfume out of the liquid. So the liquid itself is going to be a component. And then finally you have your products, and these are the actual things that you sell, and these can be attached to your online store. And you have various orders, which are, how you record the sale of products. So, but firstly, what we want to do is add in some materials. In this video, I'm basically going to walk you through the process. If I was starting a brand new perfume brand from scratch and making my very first batch of perfume, how I would use this software to record all of the costs, work out the cost of the finished perfume. So I've written out a really simple formula over here. So this one has got about 7 things in plus alcohol. So this is kind of representative of a formula that I would actually make for my brand, because I usually make 750 gram batches. So we'll use that as an example, and all of these things are available on the Fragrance Foundry, which is my perfumery equipment website. So I'm just going to use that for the pricing in order to be kind of unbiased as to get our prices from anywhere else. Or I guess it is biased, but it's I'm just showing you guys using my own kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is firstly add all of these raw materials into Craftybase as materials, and then we can go and create the perfume from there. So we're going to go add material. We have timber silk, and that's really it. Now you can set a tracking unit, and because we're measuring our raw materials in grams, I'm going to set the tracking unit to grams. But this essentially is just the text that's going to come after your raw material. So we'll do that, save and add another, and then we're going to go and add the other things in our formula. So we've got ethylene brassylate. And again, I'm going to change the tracking unit to grams. And we've got Verdox. And then we've got a Hedione. And then we've got Cephalus, Vanillin, and Amberfix. Cephalus, so we track these all in grams. Vanillin. And then finally, Amberfix. Now, as well as that, we're going to add in our alcohol. So with the alcohol, it's a little bit different. So the alcohol, often you buy this in litres. So I'm actually going to put the purchase unit as litres, but I still want the tracking unit to be grams, because that's what we weigh out our formulas in. So this means you can use a feature of the software, which is where we actually have a conversion between our purchase unit and our tracking unit. So the question is, for 1 litre of alcohol, how many grams actually is that? So if we go to Google, we can work that out using the density of ethanol, because that's the kind of alcohol that we use in perfumery. So this is how many grams of alcohol you have in 1 litre. So I'm going to put that as the conversion. 1 litre of alcohol is that many grams, and then we'll save that. So now if we go to our materials, you'll see we've got a list of all the materials, but we haven't actually purchased them yet. So let's do a purchase. So go to the purchases and say add purchase, and imagine today we'd gone to the fragrance foundry. So we're going to create a new vendor, it's called. And then we're just going to now pretend we've gone and purchased all of the raw materials from here. So we'll search up our timber silk first, and then it's asking us how much we bought and how much it cost. So if we were using 75 grams in our formula, we'd probably be wanting to be buying at least 100 grams of timber silk. So currently on the Fragrance Foundry, we've got it listed as £33.99. So pretend we'd bought 100 grams. We would just say, okay, we bought 100 grams and it cost us £33.99. And there we go. So that's recorded in there. And then imagine we made an order with multiple of these raw materials. So now we're just going to add the next one. So we've got ethylene brassylate. And again, let's say we bought in 100 grams at £11.99. And we'll go through the rest. So we've got Verdox. And again, 100 grams, let's say we bought at £11.99. And then we've got Hedione. So again, let's say we bought 100 grams, £17.99. And then Caffilis. Say we bought 100 grams, this time £28.99. And then finally for the vanilla and ambroxan, let's say we just buy 10 grams each. So that's £5.99 for the vanillin. And then ambroxan or ambrofix. And in this case, 5 grams is £10.99. So then we'll also need some alcohol. We don't sell that on the Fragrance Foundry, so let's just imagine that we bought 1 litre of alcohol and it cost us £15, because I think that's kind of a reasonable amount. Now there's also a shipping cost as well. So if you go and add that, it will split the value of the shipping evenly over all the products, which is really useful because it actually can cost that shipping into the value of the things you purchase. So I press save, so we've got that purchase order. But if we go back to our materials, now we can see the quantities we have on hand of each, but it's also calculated the unit cost for each of our materials. So this firstly is really useful because it tells us 1 gram of Hedione, for example, costs us about 18p. Anyway, so now we've got those materials, we actually want to make our perfume liquid. So what we would do then is add this as a component, and we call it our perfume liquid, and the tracking unit can be grams again. So we'll save that, and then what we can now do is make a recipe for it. So this is essentially, now we're going back to our formula, and we're saying to make 750 grams of perfume, we add these weights of all of the things, and that's what any perfume formula will look like. So we're going to say the recipe for 750 grams, which is a kind of standard batch, is going to be, and then we add our materials. So we'll go through those: timber silk, ethylene brassylate, Verdox, hedione, Kephalis, vanillin, ambrofix, and the alcohol. So to make, we're essentially, now what we're doing is just writing our formula into the software. So it's 75 grams of timber silk. So we write in 75 grams. Ethylene brassylate is 20, and then it's 18, 15, 15. So 20 grams of ethylene brassylate, 18 grams of Verdox, 15 grams of hedione, 15 grams of Kephalis, and then it's 5 grams of vanillin, 2 of ambrofix. So 5 grams of vanillin, 2 of ambrofix, and then 600 of alcohol, and that is our batch of perfume, which is a 20% strength eau de parfum. So now we've got the recipe. I'm actually going to go to the manufacturers page. I'm going to press add manufacture, and this time it's going to paste in our recipe, but we're actually going to record a manufacturer. So this time I've got the date as today, and we've got one manufacturer here. We're going to make one batch, which is going to make us 750 grams. And then the recipe's already written out. So let's say we've just gone and made it. Imagine now we've actually gone and made it in real life. We can press save manufacture, and that's going to record that on this date that we made one batch. Now this is really useful now because it shows us that the batch costs us this much to make, £51.59. And if we go to that manufacturer, it shows you the cost of each individual material, how much it contributed to their cost. And also, if you go to the components, it shows you in the adjustments section for that perfume liquid. So if we're in the components and we go to that perfume liquid, we can go to what is this adjustments tab. And here it will show us for a single unit, so in our case 1 gram of perfume, how much that cost. So based on that manufacturer, the perfume cost about 7p per gram. So that's great. And also if we go back to our materials, it's now taken the amount of each that we've used, and this is really useful because it shows you how much of each material we've got left. So now if we're planning future batches of perfume, we can already see how much of each material we've got, and we can see the value of these materials we've got left. So in our accounts, when it comes to the company accounts, this allows us to distinguish between the value of the actual materials we've got sitting there and the value that's now been made up into the perfume. So that's that. And then now what about manufacturing that into an actual bottle of perfume? Well, if we go back to the Fragrance Foundry, and we've actually got some brand new retail packaging, so I'll show that off and use it in this example. We actually now sell a 30ml bottle with cap, pump and box all together. And these are currently £7.99. So let's say we wanted to make a bottle of perfume. Well, again, we can now record this as a new material. So if we go back to Craftybase, go to the materials tab, press add material, and then we can type in 30ml perfume bottle with box, cap and pump. Now, these are all, this is recorded as one item. However, you can already see from how we made that perfume liquid that you could just record all of those items, the cap, the pump, the box and the bottle separately, and it will still be able to work out the cost of that. So we're going to add that material and press save material. Now, if we go to products, so this will now be a product that we sell. we can go to add products, and we'll call it finished 30ml perfume. So we add that there. And then if we go to the recipe, we can say that for one finished 30ml perfume, we need to essentially have a cap, box and bottle, all of this stuff. But again, these could all be added individually, right, if you bought them separately. So we need one of those. And then we need some perfume liquid. So we add the perfume liquid. Now, because perfume is normally filled into the bottle in milliliters, but we would always weigh a formula in grams, the only way to really work out how many grams you need for 30 milliliters is you would actually need to get a measuring beaker, fill it up to the 30 milliliter line with your specific perfume and actually weigh that on the scale to see how many grams. So let's say I'd gone and done that for this perfume and it was 25.6 grams, because that's usually what it would be, you know, in that kind of ballpark. Our recipe is that 25.6 grams of a perfume liquid added to one set of all the packaging is going to make us a perfume. So that's our recipe. So we save that. Now, currently we don't have any of this packaging on hand. So what I'll need to do is I'll need to go into the purchases, and then I will add a purchase. So we'll go back to add, say we made another now purchase from the Fragrance Foundry. So we'll find our packaging. Say we've gone and purchased just one of those, and it cost us $7.99. We can add that in. Say we'd purchased just one, because at the moment we want to make a test, but then now we had to pay £5 shipping. So that's made the actual cost $12.99 for this example. If we go and save that, if we actually go and now look at the material in the materials, so we look at it, we can actually see that it's worked out. Currently the unit cost is $12.99 because, you know, because we paid that shipping on that single unit, essentially that's part of the cost of the item. But in the future, if you were then to buy the item again with free shipping, then it would bring that average unit cost down. So the unit cost is averaged across all the things you have in stock. Right, so let's say we've now got this perfume bottle that we've bought and we want to make a test one of our finished perfume. So now we can go to the product, go to manufacturers, add manufacturer, and we're going to make one of our perfumes, and that's already worked out because, well, we've put in the recipe, one bottle and 25.6 grams of liquid, and we're going to do that today. So now we would go and physically make it up, and then we save that manufacturer, and then there we go, that's that, it's done. So that's now recorded in the system, and it shows us the cost of the manufacturer, £14.75. So if we go back to our product and we check our adjustments, we can now see that we've made this, and that is the unit cost of the perfume. So this is really, really useful because it helps us now price the perfume. Because if we know that it costs us almost £15 to make £14.75, now we can decide how much do we want to charge for it. Do I want to charge, you know, £30, £40, £50, £60, whatever. So that's kind of up to you. But the thing that's really useful, I find, is actually having these exact figures on how much each thing you manufacture costs, because it's just one of those things that can be easy to lose sight of when you're making this kind of cosmetic product with lots of different things going into it. And again, like the fact that we've got all of our materials here, for example, this packaging, now it shows you we've got nothing left. So you can see that, oh, we're going to have to reorder it if we want to make more perfumes. And I think it's just a really nice way of doing things. So if we go to the reports section of the app, you've actually now got a material valuation summary. So if we go there, we can run the report, and it will show us that actually now, well, we bought this much stuff in total, £149.93. But this much, £14.75, because that was the cost of our perfume, is the unsold product value, and this much is actually still in our materials. So again, you know, these kind of things can be useful. And there's some other reports that are quite interesting too. So yeah, in summary, I found this app, which is called Craftybase, if you didn't already catch it. I find it really useful. That's why I've moved my business to it, just because it helps me keep track of all of these different raw materials, their costs, how much I have of each, and the actual costs of the things that I make when I mix them together. So yeah, this app, I recommend it. I've got a link in the description. I did manage to make an affiliate link, which is one of those links where if you end up getting a subscription, it does give me a small amount of help too, but that is not the reason that I'm doing this video. They never approached me and said, hey, we want you to do this or anything. I'm literally showing you guys this because I actually use this myself, and it's been really helpful. So I thought that I would make a video about it, and then I went and found an affiliate link because I thought if I'm already making the video, I might as well. But honestly, this software is, it's just very helpful. So yeah, if you guys are thinking of starting up a perfume business, and if you're especially doing it on a small scale, for example, from home, or it's just you and you don't have a lot of resources, then I think this is either the best or one of the best ways to go and manage all of your inventory and do all your costing and stuff, because it's something that you can actually do yourself, and you don't, it's not as complex as using spreadsheets and kind of, keeping track of everything in a more manual way, which I find is usually more prone to making mistakes. This app, I think, kind of gives you just the right amount of complexity that allows you to actually do some more complex things, like make products in multiple stages, like making our liquid first. But it also gives you a bit more simplicity, the fact that it's, online, you can just log in anywhere. And I think it's just a really nice tool if you're kind of running a small business. So that's it from me. I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you very soon with another video all about perfumery.